She thought he was just getting older, slower, a little less playful. He still wagged his tail when she came home. He still followed her to the kitchen, so she told herself he was fine. She told herself it was just age catching up to him, but he wasn't getting older. He was getting sicker. And the worst part, he had been trying to tell her for months. Every single day, he was leaving clues, and every single day, life got in the way of her seeing them. This is the story of how she almost lost him, and why it doesn't have to be your story too. There's a particular kind of guilt that dog owners carry when something like this happens. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just sits there, quietly in the back of your chest, that thought that says, I should have known. I should have caught it sooner. And the truth is, most of us will not catch it sooner. Not because we do not love our dogs, not because we are careless or distracted, but because the signs are so easy to explain away. A dog sleeping a little more than usual, well, it was a hot week. A dog turning away from his food once or twice, maybe he just wasn't hungry. A dog who used to sprint to the door and now just trots. He's getting older, right? That's what she told herself. That's what most of us tell ourselves. But here's the thing nobody talks about enough. Dogs are wired to hide pain. They do not whimper and point to where it hurts. They do not ask for help. They keep showing up for you, tail wagging, eyes soft, doing their best to seem okay, even when they are not. And that loyalty, that stoic love they give us, is also the thing that makes it so terrifyingly easy to miss what's happening right in front of you. So today, we are going to walk through her story, the warning signs she saw but didn't understand, what they actually meant, and what you can start watching for in your own dog starting today. Her name is Maya, and her dog's name was Finn. She'd had him for 9 years. He was her shadow, her routine, her reason to get outside on days when she really didn't want to. And when the changes started, they were so small, so gradual, that they barely registered as changes at all. It started with the stairs. Finn had always charged up the stairs ahead of her, every single night like a race she never won. But one evening, she noticed he hesitated at the bottom step, just for a second. She almost didn't catch it. She figured he was tired. It had been a long day for both of them. She didn't write it down. She didn't call the vet. She just scratched his ears and went upstairs, and he followed a little slower than before. That was month 1. By month 2, his appetite had shifted. Not gone, he was still eating. But the enthusiasm was different. He used to hear the bag crinkle from across the house. He'd come skidding into the kitchen before she even had the bowl out. Now he'd wander in a minute or two later, eat slower, leave a little at the bottom. She told herself he was just being picky. Maybe he was bored of the same food. She bought him a different brand. The food wasn't the problem. Month 3 brought something harder to dismiss, but she managed to dismiss it anyway. She noticed his belly looked a little different. Rounder, maybe. She thought he'd put on weight. She cut back his portions. She felt responsible about it, even a little proud of herself for noticing. She was paying attention, she thought. She was being a good dog mom. She wasn't seeing what she was actually looking at. By month 4, Finn had stopped greeting her at the door. Not completely, he still came. But he'd stopped rushing. He'd stopped the full-body wiggle that used to knock her bag off her shoulder. He'd stand a few feet away, tail moving slow, eyes warm but tired. She told herself he was mellowing out, 9 years old. That's middle age for a dog. It made sense, she thought. Dogs change as they get older. And then month 5 happened. Short Starchy came home one Tuesday evening and Finn didn't come to the door at all. She found him on his bed in the living room, and when she called his name, he lifted his head, but he didn't get up. She sat down on the floor next to him, and that's when she felt it. His breathing was shallow. His belly was visibly distended. And when she pressed her hand gently against his side, he flinched. She was at the emergency vet within the hour. The diagnosis was splenic hemangiosarcoma, a tumor on his spleen that had been quietly bleeding internally. The vet told her it was advanced. He told her Finn had likely been in pain for several months. And he told her gently, but honestly, that the signs had been there. The hesitation on the stairs, the slow eating, the distended belly she'd mistaken for weight gain, the fading energy she'd chalked up to age. Every single one of those things was Finn trying to tell her something was wrong. Short end, she almost lost him that night. Emergency surgery saved his life. But the recovery was brutal, the costs were staggering, and the guilt took a long time to work through. Now, before we go any further, I want to be clear about something. Maya is not a bad dog owner. She loved Finn completely. She fed him well, walked him regularly, took him to his annual checkups. She did everything most of us do, and she still almost missed it, because this isn't a story about negligence. It's a story about the gap between what we know to look for and what we actually know to look for. And that gap is where dogs get lost. So let us close that gap. Here are the warning signs that are most commonly overlooked, the ones that look like nothing until they look like everything. The first one is a change in energy that happens slowly. Not suddenly, slowly. When a dog collapses or stops eating overnight, people notice. That's the obvious version. But when a dog gradually, over weeks and months, becomes a slightly quieter version of themselves, that's the one that gets past us. You stop playing as much, you assume they are tired. They sleep an extra hour, you assume they had a long walk. You have to watch for the trend, not just the moment. Ask yourself, compared to 6 months ago, is my dog genuinely less energetic? Not just today, consistently, over time. The second sign is subtle changes in movement, the hesitation on the stairs, the slower rise from a lying position, the slight stiffness in the hips first thing in the morning. Dogs compensate for pain incredibly well. They shift their weight, they adjust their gait, they find ways to keep moving that minimize the hurt. But you can see it if you are watching. A dog who used to bounce up like a spring and now takes a moment, that moment matters. It's not always arthritis. It can be internal pressure, inflammation, organ enlargement, a dozen things that have nothing to do with aging and everything to do with something that needs attention. The third sign is appetite changes, specifically inconsistency, not just refusal. A dog who flatly refuses to eat is alarming. But a dog who eats a little less, a little slower, a little less enthusiastically, that gets explained away every time. Watch for the pattern. Is your dog finishing their bowl every day? Are they as excited about food as they used to be? Appetite is one of the most reliable indicators of how a dog is actually feeling, and even subtle shifts, especially when combined with other changes, deserve a conversation with your vet. The fourth sign is physical changes in the body that do not match lifestyle. Weight gain when diet hasn't changed. A belly that looks fuller or rounder without a clear explanation. Coat quality shifting, dullness, excessive shedding, patches of thinning fur. These things can look like normal variation, but combined with other signs, they are often the body broadcasting something that's been building for a while. Run your hands along your dog's body regularly, not just petting, actually feeling, noticing, checking for lumps, swelling, asymmetry. You know your dog's body better than anyone. Trust that. The fifth sign, and this one is the one people feel most guilty about missing, is a change in emotional connection. The dog who used to demand your attention and now seems content to be alone. The dog who still greets you but with less brightness in their eyes. Dogs in pain often withdraw slightly. Not dramatically, slightly. They're still present. They still love you. But there's a quietness to them that wasn't there before. Maya described it as Finn seeming more patient, more gentle. She thought he was calming down in his old age. What she was actually seeing was a dog who didn't have the energy to be himself anymore. Now here's what I want you to take from all of this. You do not need to become paranoid. You do not need to rush your dog to the vet every time they skip a meal or sleep in. But you do need a baseline. You need to know what your dog's normal actually looks like, and you need to take it seriously when normal starts to shift. One of the most practical things you can do is keep a simple log. Not obsessive, not clinical, just a note on your phone. Once a week, 30 seconds. How did my dog eat this week? How did they move? How did they sleep? How did they engage? You'd be amazed what you start to notice when you are paying gentle, intentional attention over time. Not because you are looking for problems, but because you know your dog well enough to spot when something is off. Another thing, and this is something vets will tell you if you ask them directly, annual checkups are the minimum, not the goal. For dogs over 7, twice-yearly checkups are what most vets recommend. Blood panels once a year to catch organ function changes before they become organ failure. These aren't luxuries. They're the difference between catching something in month 1 and catching it in month 5. Maya takes Finn in every 6 months now. He made it through surgery. He's slower, yes. He'll never be the dog who charged up the stairs, but he's here. He still follows her to the kitchen. He still wags his tail when she comes home. And she watches him now, really watches him, with the kind of attention that comes from knowing exactly how close she came to losing him. The signs were always there. She just didn't know what she was looking at. Now you do. Your dog cannot tell you when something is wrong, not with words. But they are telling you every single day through the way they move, the way they eat, the way they look at you, the way they do not. The question isn't whether they are communicating. The question is whether we are listening. If this story made you think about your own dog, that little flicker of recognition when I described Finn on his bed, trust that feeling. Not with panic, but with attention. Go home today and just look at your dog. Really look. Notice how they move, how they eat, how they greet you. Then compare it to last month, last season. That's the practice. And if something feels off, do not wait for it to become obvious. Make the call, book the appointment. You know your dog better than any vet does on a first visit, but a vet has the tools to confirm what you are sensing. The two of you together, that's the best possible care your dog can get. Finn is proof that it is worth it. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.